Everybody, it's Marty the JavaScript Party and my buddy Rhett. Hey Rhett, how's it going? We are just chillaxing. It is 8:27 a.m. on a Wednesday. I have to start work at 9 o'clock, so I don't have much time to write some fun code. But yeah, I've kind of been going down this adventure of trying to figure out, you know, I would like to understand ThreeJS better. B, I want to, refine my skills as a software developer. I've been developing software. I've been writing code since 1979. And then I've been doing it professionally. I mean, if you don't count like senior design and all those sort of college stuff, since I guess I put my first website that I got paid for up in like 1996, and then started working for like in a salaried position in 1996 as well when I finished college. So I've been doing this for a long time, but there's like a lot of things have changed in software development, and then there's just some things I may have missed coming up, and so I kind of came up with this project to try to, make sure that polish any rough edges that I have and all that. I have Arette here because she needs a couple hours or she needs some time to interact and do stuff. So I brought her in because she hears me she's in the living room, and so she hears me and all that. But as part of the process, I have gotten into the tradition of giving her a nut at the beginning of every show. So let me give her nut. There you go, girl. Whoa, you almost fell down. Woo. There we go. So she was ready for her nut. So I was like, I feel like this is a common thing that I do a lot. Is I'll have like a loop, and then inside the loop I do some like logic. And what I've really started to so we were kind of working through it. I was trying to come up with a way to test this, and I started down a path where I was like, okay, what I want to do is get this service. Oh, wrong one. App component spec. I want to get this service, and then I want to run it and sort of emulate what the browser does when it brings it up, and get Angular to maybe try to get it to run the signal and all that. And all that would be really, really interesting to do. But I do think that it is sort of an indicator that I'm doing way too much in this function. I think that's what's going on here. And, as an added bonus, it would be nice if I could get away from the thises in here, but I don't know if I can. We'll find out. But so I do think that this add UI service thing is probably not what I probably don't want to go that route. What I want to do is break this down into smaller pieces. Now, the reality is this animate visualization is just here so I can set aside a place for visualizations to be, because I don't intend to do like automate this visualization system. I want it to be like where user driven. User decides to animate things, not it doesn't just happen. So, because right now, basically, theoretically, what should happen is when I hit this, it's that, and then they get a visualization based on their position. It's just automatically just attaching a visualization. But I do want the user to be able to attach their own visualizations. So that's just was just so I could have kind of the space in the architecture set aside for visualizations. And so that, while I was working down in the really primitive parts of this application, I would sort of be able to identify how to do visualizations. So I think that it makes a lot of sense to, instead of trying to do what Angular does in my unit test, it makes a lot of sense to actually, instead of doing that, to break this down, refine it the way it should be. And I was kind of thinking about like how like like with Legos, like let's say you wanted to make a I don't know, an example, like a copy of the Parthenon. Like there would be, you would definitely, like let's say when you got the kit, like with all the Legos in it, it would come as one big block, you know, of just bags of stuff, and you can't really do much with it because you need to separate everything. But then it also has some kind of predefined pieces, and the thing is if they do too much predefining of all the pieces, then you lose the ability to be creative. So it's kind of like you want to fill that. You don't want everything to be so refined that the developer is locked in and can't do anything because they can only do what the architecture, like they can't get off that beaten path of what the architecture is defined. But at the same time, you don't want everything to be so bleh, one big piece. And so in this situation, I think this is an example of the bleh. And so what I want to do is break this guy down. So then it'll be easier to unit test. And the only reason I'm really doing that is because I want to. Not because I need to, because I don't really need to, since all this code is just going to get thrown away anyways. But I do want to show that I can just go through the process again, because it is a bit of a new idea for me. Now, whenever you do a for each, the first thing it will return is the number of the value, and the second thing it'll return is the index that it was in the original array. I believe there's and then it can also return the whole array. The third, I think there's 3 possible things that you can get. I think if you mouse over, it says you give it a callback, value is a number, index is a number, and an array of numbers. So you can get the original array as well. So if you were like, I want to do something right before this one or right after that, you have access to that, but you don't have to take it. So what I would like to do now is pull this for each, this array out. And what I would, right now, I have my code coverage, and you notice that like it says like nothing is run. So I would rather run this as like a callback where I give it the function and bind it to this instead of like calling it as like an arrow function the way it is right here. So basically I want to take all of this code from here to here, and I've not done this very many times, so this should be interesting. I'm gonna hit Control X just to make sure. Nope, I took too much. Control Z, from here to here. Control X, and then I want to do it like this. And let's say this is animate visualization. And then I think we have everything. And I don't know. Okay. And then I don't want this arrow function. I see a red thing somewhere. For each. And then I want to call. It's something that's always really been hard for me is I can't even remember what I was about to say. No, like it's weird to me that there's no real good way to know what the parameters are going to be. Bind. And I don't know if we can. This. And I don't know if that's going to work. I don't know if we have to do something to also pass in, or if it just automatically. I mean, that is just black magic to me, but we will find out. So basically, we want to see that the application still works. Yep, it still works. So somehow it knows. It knows. It knows the render ID and that. I don't really know why. But now when we look at our code coverage, I believe it reran. So you notice we have all of this, but now we don't have this guy isn't called. But we did do better. So now what's nice is we can just give it a renderer ID and in a position. Now it's kind of, I think, okay, so it's going to call this render service for the renderer ID, but the thing is if we just make up, so we might still need that UI service to be able to test this thing. But I wonder if we want to just pull this into its own function to get the renderer. So then when we call, well, okay, so if we pulled that into its own function, we still, that doesn't, does that help us? I don't know if it helps us. Because when we call it, it's still going to look, we're still going to need to get the ST renderer service of our own copy of the ST renderer service. All right, so, but I do feel like this piece here should be able to break down into its own little piece. Like everything from here down there, we should be able to just pass it a modulus. And then it just do this stuff. So let's try that. I don't know. I'm kind of swinging at the fences here. I don't really know exactly what to do. But up. So the name of this thing would be like to update or animate mesh. Yeah, I guess we're just animating the mesh. So I'm going to name this function animate mesh. Okay, so that guy should be probably to the left a little bit. Oops. Probably should just, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. So it seems like everybody from here to here should go to the left a little bit. All right, and now we want to animate a mesh. All this thing does is animate a mesh. Again, this is all throwaway code right now, but animate mesh. And this animate mesh is going to basically take all the code from this if. It's going to, well, okay, so it's going to, it needs the modulus is, I think, all it needs. And the modulus is a number. And I'm going to return a Boolean. Let's just go back to that. And I'm just going to return true for now. True. And then this thing's going to return, I guess, should it return a Boolean, and I'm just going to return true. I don't know if it's going to stay that way, and this is just kind of a new thing I've started trying to do. I'm definitely not ready to do this kind of thing at work yet, but I want to try it out. I want to be able to, A, try it out and just know that it works, B, be able to speak to it in an intelligent way, because C, and that C's not really right, but the reason is because I need to be able to, if I'm going to do something like this, I need to be able to defend it in a pull request. Like, why are you returning things? And I'll be like, because X, Y, Z. And I don't know what that X, Y, Z is right now. And that's sort of one of the points of doing this whole thing that I'm doing right now is is to be able to be better at pull requests. That's one of the things that used to just, man, it would just cause me a complete and utter meltdown. Being unable to express yourself is probably one of the most painful things if you're a human being. It is just incredible. And then if you don't have the sort of, experience, like I understand, like I've seen a lot of kids that were like, sort of, they said they were autistic and stuff like that, and I've been like, man, I think this kid just can't express themselves. Doesn't know how, like, they see things, they understand things as they're going on, but they can't figure out how to express what they see happening, and that is the basic problem, not actually like some other thing. It's just that they literally don't have the vocabulary to express what they're sensing. Because a lot of times they just seem like they're processing really fast and they're just super intelligent. So this dot animate, and that probably like may have a lot to do, like that might be because like they're so smart, like if you're smarter than your vocabulary, that could be a real problem, I think. Okay, so st renderer does not exist, and this dude doesn't even need an st renderer. So I think that's really nice. What did I do? Control V. And I don't have a renderer ID. It's like something weird about the way I copy and paste. Oh no! So it looks like maybe I need to pass in the st renderer ID. And that is a number. I have no idea what Rhett said there, but I'm pretty sure it was a cuss word. And I don't think it's a absolute guaranteed fact, but I do think that it is, if it's easy to unit test, it's probably well written. But that's not 100%. I think I guess a better way, well-written code is probably easy to unit test. Just because it's easy to unit test doesn't mean it's well-written, though. Let's see if this works. Basically, we just want to make sure that the application still works. So it seems like it's still working. We're done We're definitely done compiling. Sometimes I'll try it before it actually is done compiling, and I'll get like a false positive. It's like it still works. Yeah, that's because that was the old code. Okay, so now let's see where we're at over here. Okay, we're still messed up here, but I feel like that's going to be easier to unit test. So I wonder what happens if, so now I guess we want to start here and let's see. So basically I think we're going to want to get this ST-renderer service and create a renderer probably. And then once we create a renderer, I believe when we create a renderer, we'll get a renderer ID back. And then I think we can call this and give it the index of 0, and it'll go through here and it'll hit this one. That's what I think will happen. Let's see, where are we on time? 8:48. All right, so we want to now, and I don't think this is this is the service that we were even thinking that we needed. I think we thought we needed UI service, but now we need ST render service. And I do like that because ST render service is a much more primitive service. It's going to be much easier to work with, I think, than the UI service, because the UI service interacts with the DOM elements and things like that, you know, so and then okay, so it gets the renderer. So let's go look at ST renderer service. It's kind of crazy because in .NET, which, you know, I'm okay at, I am good at coding. So .NET, like, I'm kind of like the autistic person of .NET, where it's like I know exactly what I want to do, but I don't have the vocabulary for it. I don't know exactly how to do it, and it's just so insanely frustrating. But when you're in .NET and you say you do not want to go to definition, you absolutely do not want to go to definition, because there's no code in there. You want to go to the implementation, and it's weird. So over here, can I create a renderer? Oh, I can get a base renderer, which will then return my renderer ID. All right. So I want a ST renderer service. So we did something kind of like that yesterday for UI service. I was hoping I could just go back, but I can't. Okay. So we don't want the UI service. We want, ST render service, which is of type ST render service. We do not have that loaded. We got our blue guy. Blue. We don't need this guy anymore, I don't think. We'll get rid of this guy. Apparently we don't need this guy up here anymore. Unit test is fairly, like, I've done a lot of unit testing, so I'm pretty good at it, but I always just got it done. I just was more of a get her done kind of person, and now I'm trying to really sort of give unit tests a chance. Give unit tests a chance. Because, you know, I just never really felt like they were worth it. Let's see, STID, ST renderer ID. And let's let our const is equal to st render service dot get base render. And that gives me an ID. And then I know that it is a, well, what happens up here? Animate visualization, this st render ID. For each, okay, so this render ID, so I probably can't use that directly, so I need to use this one. I mean, I could set it, the components render IDs equal to this value and then run it, but I think that's going to be harder to maintain in the future, which is kind of like, who cares, because we're literally going to delete all this code. But let's try to act like professionals here. Let's try to act like this is code that we will want to maintain. And then basically this animation, does it use, see, then it goes to the animation service. It doesn't care about anything on the component, I don't think. So, and then that kind of puts you down the thought, is that a good idea? I think it is a good idea. Might make more sense to, instead of, maybe the app itself shouldn't use its own IDs. But I think its IDs are coming from the render service via signal. So we're just sort of bypassing that whole signals thing. Okay, so this, so component, so I think we need this guy here. So before each, I compile it, but I don't do that. This is where I'll get a copy of the actual component. And then let's just hit save and just see if that works. I'm running out of time here very quickly. Just make sure nothing broke. Yeah, we're all good. All good in the neighborhood. And then this, no, component dot animate visualization, and then st, we'll give it an st render ID, and we will tell it should be the 0th one. And I don't even think it cares. Yeah, so yeah, it doesn't even care. We could actually probably run it. We can just tell it it doesn't have to be the actual 0th one. So it's all happy. It says nothing broke, and we got our coverage, baby. So I think we can actually just run it and tell it 1, 2, 3, and 4. At first, I thought we were going to actually, it had to actually be the 4th one, because I thought it was going to look in the array, but it doesn't. So let's try that. See if anything breaks. It wouldn't surprise me if it breaks, but I don't think it will. Yep. Ah, sweet, sweet victory. And I do like this better than, I mean, I kind of liked the idea of doing the other thing where we get the signal to run and in the component and all that stuff. I think that would have been fun, but I do think that would have been fragile. I don't think that's an approach we want to take. So now we have 100% coverage in here. We just need some sort of validation, which is easy because that returns a Boolean. And I don't know what happened. I guess it just won't do anything if there was a 5 or, oh, and then actually 0, 1, 2. Oh, and 3. Yeah. All right. So it is 8:56. So I got to go. We got 100%. Now we just need to write some expectations tomorrow, and we are done with that. Like I said, I believe today is Wednesday, so then that means that tomorrow well, no, because so I think let's actually remove this F and see if there's anything still missing. I don't know. We might have 100% coverage now. Be watching this carefully. Oh no, something broke. App component should add a visualization field. So that is crazy because app component is this one. And I have seen this before. So when it runs in the context of just by itself, there's no failures. Oh, expected 1 to be true. Okay, I changed the app. Oh, and then that's filling. Oh, interesting. Okay, so that's in the app menu spec, and so we changed. I think we can hold the shift button down. So this should be truthy. As you can tell, I'm a little less stressed about starting work on time today because we just got new work yesterday, and I'm in great shape for it. So let me hit back. For some reason, because it said app component, I thought it was dying in a different place than it was. Okay, so now I think this is the other one. And truthy is the right thing because we don't want it to be false. Or we don't want it to be 0 when we add a visualization. 100%. Ooh. So that is great news. So we are at 100% coverage everywhere. So that doesn't mean every individual component is right, but so that means that we could probably, hopefully, get right this point, just try every individual suite and see if they're all 100%. Hopefully they are, and if they are, then hopefully tomorrow will be Thursday. Friday I can do. I'll be able to work on end-to-end testing. We will have some broken end-to-end tests this time, and then if I can build out a new end-to-end test on Saturday, then I can make my 3-minute video on Sunday and put it on LinkedIn and see what happens. I had a really good success last time. Happy coding, everybody. Bye.